Steelers-Titans in just a second because it's time to see who's eating good served by Applebee's and Lawrence. We start with the Gus Bus. Gus Edwards.
Yes,
he's got the Seahawks. Obviously, the Gus Bus finished as RB3 last weekend. I don't think it's fair to ask, can Gus Edwards be 29 to 30 points, but can he be an RB1 in this Ravens offense?
He could definitely be 20 points. Again, as long as he gets that touchdown, he's good. And one thing you know about this Ravens offense, they're gonna get by the goal line, and they're probably not gonna run with Lamar. Even though him and Lamar both have 5 rushing TDs this season, now Gus Edwards gets to go against Seattle, who's given up 6 rushing TDs to running backs this season. That's tied for 7th worst in the league. And look at it again. Gus Edwards' touchdowns this season are from 1 yard out, 2 yard out, 1 yard out, 7 yards, and 1. So if you get there, it's going to the Gus Bus.
And it's important that he does get there because here's the thing. In games this year, which he doesn't score a touchdown, Gus Edwards is averaging 5.7 fantasy points per game. He doesn't really give you much in the passing game. I know he had the 80-yard reception, but I mean, generally speaking, he's not really involved in the passing game, and so he really needs a touchdown to pay off. Having said that, since week 4, he's averaging over 16 touches a game. It's a good offense. He more likely than not will get into the end zone. So I'm at running back 20 this week. I think he's a low-end RB2, high-end flex. He is a little bit more touchdown dependent than you would like, but there's a lot of running backs you could say that about as well. There aren't that many guys that have significant passing game work. So look, given how bad it is, how bad we all are down for running backs, a guy that's going to average 16 touches in the Ravens offense, I think more often than not, he's probably a top 20 play for you.
Yep, Ravens.
He's a RB2.
Ravens 6-point favorites in that game too, so you'd expect that they will be running.
Yeah, games in Baltimore. I like that as well.
Back to the Titans, DeAndre Hopkins. We talked about him a little bit. He's got the Steelers, of course, on the short week. And Hopkins, there's the big play threat from Will Levis, Jay. And I think that gives you more hope for DeAndre Hopkins going forward after it looked like a tough start to the season. Yeah,
certainly more hope and more upside with Levis now and the fact that he was able to connect with DeAndre downfield. But I'm with you. I think it's unsustainable. The fact that Levis just couldn't really do his work in the short intermediate stuff. Like if you're relying on coverage busts and offensive pass interference to get your stats, then a little bit concerned about DeAndre Hopkins going forward because it's not like he's got a ton of usage. It's just depending on these massive plays.
Yeah, what's interesting too is he's caught 3 touchdowns in one other game. That was 6 years ago in Deshaun Watson's rookie year, and it was his 4th start. And he also did that. He caught those 3 touchdowns on 4 receptions as well. He does get Pittsburgh, who is the 4th worst against wide receivers. But like I mentioned earlier, Pittsburgh will present a different problem for them up front with T.J. Watt, Ali Highsmith, and those guys. So, but Ridley went for 83 yards against Pittsburgh last week. That was his best game in a while. Nakua had a nice day against them. So from a fantasy perspective, Pittsburgh is better against quarterbacks than they are receivers, which kind of sounds crazy. But if you can affect the quarterback, well, then obviously that's going to affect D-Hop.
He had a 22% target share last week. Again, he caught 4 passes, 3 of them went for touchdowns. But he only caught 4 passes. And again, maybe he doesn't get away with offensive pass interference on every play. So I'm at wide receiver 21. I think it's a decent matchup. I think obviously he's the best weapon they have in the passing game. When you're a young quarterback like Will Levis, especially on a short week, you're like, hey, that worked out well for me.
Right.
I'm going to go back to the well. And Hopkins, again, we're not expecting 3 touchdowns again, but could he get deep for 1? Sure, they're going to take a couple of those shots. Yeah. Hopkins is still one of the best 50-50 wide receivers in the NFL. Throw it up and give him a chance to come down with it, and Hop more often than not is coming down with it. So I think they'll do that.
Minkah Fitzpatrick hurt as well, which would enliven the chance of a deep touchdown.
Our final one here, Matthew, Trey McBride. He's got the Browns this week, but Trey McBride coming off a weekend where he finishes as tight end 1. Zach Ertz goes down. We know the amount of tight end targets that were present in this Arizona offense for McBride.
And that's the point, right? The Cardinals this year, 2nd in tight end target share this season. This offense is predicated on getting the ball to the tight end, whether it's Zach Ertz or Trey McBride or both of them. And now, because Ertz is hurt, it is going to be McBride. 9 of his 10 targets in Week 8 came from the slot. Why does that matter? Because Baltimore really struggles there, right? Baltimore really struggles against them, as does Cleveland as well. So I feel like this is going to be a good opportunity. We don't know what we're going to get out of Clayton Tune. It looks like he's going to be the starter and not Kyler Murray. But when you're a young quarterback, what do we look for? We look for your best guy, look for your outlet. You know, it's a cliche, but cliches are cliches because they're true. Young quarterback's best friend is the tight end. Trey McBride is, I believe, a very talented player. I know we were high on him coming out of college. Connor as well. For people who are unfamiliar with him.
Oh, loved him. Yeah, 2 years ago, I mean, he was my top tight end in the draft, and he was somebody that in his offense in Colorado State, he was the offense. Like Trey McBride, it's so rare for a tight end in college to be the number one guy in an offense. They just don't do that at the college level. He was that guy at college, so he comes into the NFL, unlike most tight ends, where he could be treated as the number one pass catcher, and he's finally getting elevated to be that chance.
Obviously, Cardinals are playing for next year. They're going to a youth movement, you know. So Trey McBride, who's my tight end 9 this week, I am as a tight end 1 this week, Jay. I feel like he should continue to get good in the neighborhood.
I got him inside the top 10 this week as well. Just like with a new quarterback, it's like you got to find new chemistry. And like you said, at the tight end position, doesn't matter who they play, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, find that guy who's getting open, who you were already increasing his snaps anyway.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.